I can't believe I have to file taxes in all 50 states. And I only have 2 days left. Anyways, I started 2 years ago standing in line at a Macy's with a suit in hand, and I just failed another job interview. I was going to return the suit regardless. I couldn't afford it. I was living in a rental car with no money, obviously no job prospects. And I was wondering, where are all the opportunities in this great country? So I went out and explored different opportunities, one in every state, and see what's out there. And I did that by being persistent, using networks, risk-taking, being adaptable, and having endurance. So I want to take you guys all on the journey with me. Living the map is what I called it. And now I graduated here in 2005, USC, with an economics degree. Obviously, I began here in California. And I didn't have a car because I had no money. And I came with my brother opened a bank account for me and gave me $5,000, opened up a new line of credit. So there I am, excited with my USC worn out cross-country shirt. And hit the road. And I chose stereotypical jobs of every state, from working with Mormons in Utah to doing hydrology in Colorado to, you guessed it, South Dakota. I was a rodeo announcer. And this brings me to my first element, adaptability. Not that I only have to adapt to my current situation of not being able to find a job and coming up with a creative solution, but I also had to adapt to my immediate environment with living with cowboys, Indians, Arabs, rednecks, hopefully no one's offended there, Amish people, believe it or not, Hawaiians, and a cheesehead. And if you don't know, that's Wisconsin. So here's a before and after picture of me from Colorado to a rodeo announcer. So I showed up to Colorado. I'm like, hey guys, can I be a rodeo announcer? Well, first of all, you don't look like one, you don't talk like one, and you don't act like one. So within like 2 hours, they dressed me up to fit the part for my third job. So different also housing accommodations. Sometimes they're really nice, log cabin in Vermont, mansion, resort, South Carolina, pueblos in New Mexico, and of course, America has a lot of trailers, and this is Wyoming. So then I made my way up to North Dakota and then Minnesota. I actually arranged this so I hit the Midwest in the summertime, because if you know, it gets really brutally cold there. So networking is my second element. And the more people I met, the more opportunities I created. And that's what I didn't really take advantage of when I was at USC. But also being on national news a couple hundred times helped me a lot. And not only for me, but also for the people who were contacting me. They're always asking me for advice as I made my journey. They were saying, can you help me find a job? How do we find a job? So networking was key. And basically how I found most of these jobs was just getting on the phone, cold calling, 16 to 18 hours a day as I made my way through the state. I only had the first 10 set up before I left, and then I set the rest on the road. So can any of you guess what I did in Oregon, if these are all stereotypical jobs? Shout it out. Anybody? Logging. There I am. The first thing they addressed was safety issues, and you can see, don't worry, any eye protection there. And I can't believe they let me use a 60-pound chainsaw, 3 feet long, with no experience. So can anyone guess what I did in Nevada? Don't say stripper, because that's inappropriate. Here we go. We're gathered here today on December 5th, 2008 Now, 95% of these jobs hired me full-time after the week, and this wasn't one of them. That was the only ceremony I did. Other than that, I was driving in a limousine and being a florist and all those other duties. But the drive started getting long, and averaging 800 to 1,000-mile drives on the weekend to do jobs like this, meat packing in Kansas. And I made my way to the south and eating all sorts of different foods. I actually got sick a couple times. These long hours, logging was 18 hours, making cheese, And here's bartending during Mardi Gras. And I was there like till 4 in the morning. First of all, I've never drank before in my life, and now I'm serving to people who are really experienced. And the thing is, I had no idea what I was doing, so they're asking me for a Jack and Coke, and I'm like, who's Jack and how much Coke do you need? So as I made my way up, see that's a long drive, 1,200 miles to Wisconsin, where I worked at a cheese factory, which I mentioned is probably the hardest job, and brings me my third element, endurance. Just this week, this is number 25, just this week, I got the stomach flu. There was somebody came to the shop with a gun to my head, not to my head, but everyone's head in the shop. And also, this was a very cold week, 2 degrees the whole time. So it started wearing on me, and people said, oh, it's going to be downhill after 25. No, it never got easy, never. So I flew up to Vermont, made syrup, and in Kentucky, I worked on a horse farm. So I'm going to let you guys watch this because I'm a big fan of learning by doing, and this is a perfect example.
She won't bother. Going about that far, you should feel 2 feet in the nose.
Reach on in there. You're okay. You're not going to hurt anything.
No, believe me, that fold's coming out of there. You're not going to do anything.
Oh my God.
You're okay. You're good.
This is the most uncomfortable thing I heard.
That's right.
Doesn't get better at this in Kentucky at all. Okay, it gets really graphic. I can't play it. So I head down to the south where I started not understanding people's accents. I told them to email me instead of talking on the phone. So Florida here, I was an Egyptian stilt walker. And did I fall? Yeah, a couple times. The kids were tugging on my pants, and they're like, hey, are you the 50 jobs guy? And they make me fall. So then I went from modeling to coal mining, which brings me up to my fourth point. As you all heard about the explosion this last week, risk-taking is very clear. Every job was an uncertain environment. Every state I went to across the border with so much uncertainty, this whole thing was a risk. Here's the coal mine.
Let me show you something.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can't see a thing.
Only thing you can see is that little camera light on right there.
So,
Now, right now, we're about a quarter mile deep. And we're gonna go a lot deeper than that. Okay. All right, Don.
can anyone understand him? So my project's not only about jobs, but it's also about different cultures. And Amish country, I made furniture with Amish people. And then I headed up to New England. The drives were a lot shorter, but a lot more difficult because they're very crazy drivers in New England. Boston, New York, New Jersey, oh man, talk about risk-taking and paying a lot of tolls. And then I head up to my last element, which is perseverance. There's no way I would have been able to do this if I gave up once. I've been rejected 4,000 to 5,000 times setting this up, cold calling, and I was just used to rejection, not being able to find a job coming out of USC. So, and then I flew to Alaska and Hawaii. I was a surfing instructor. And my last state, home state, where I got hit by a car, welcome party, it was California, where I worked at a winery. So what's next? Who cares about me? Let's talk about you guys. What's next? It's all up to you. You choose your own destiny. I've went through so many obstacles to get where I am now, and it's all self-drive, self-motivation, because when I was an athlete here in college, the coach gave me all the advice and feedback and strategies that I needed, but once that gun went off, it was up to me. It's up to me to win that race and complete it. Thank you for listening to my presentation.